Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Strike Rite plate, is what this is called. This is this is an item that you figure would have existed for a long time, and it's not a new product, but it's a relatively new product. It might be 2 or 3 years old. So this is what this strike looks like. It is basically what we would call an ASA or ANSI strike. Someone says an ASA strike, they mean a strike that's 4 7/8 tall, typically for use in hollow metal frames. This has, of course, the novel invention of being able to adjust the width of the keeper in the strike. We'll talk about that in just a moment here. Let's first take some basic dimensional properties. As I said earlier, it's 4 7/8. That is indeed the case. The width down here where it installs into the frame, it is 1.25 inches. The overall width is about 1 7/8 inches, but that's not how these strikes are measured. The center line of the screw hole to the edge of the lip is how strikes are measured, and this is 1.25 inches, extremely typical and common in terms of a size. Overall height of the keeper prep, about 1.25 inches, and its native width is about, let's say, 11/16. That is going to allow us to adjust that dimension. Since we're talking dimensions, I'm going to give you the minimum and maximum. It's governed by a set screw. Okay, I have that all the way in, the adjusting screw. It does, it's 3/4 inch. When I thread that out to the point where I wouldn't dare take it really any further because that screw is now flush with that welded on nut, that dimension then becomes about 5/8. So there's 1/8 of an inch play in there, or adjustment, not play, adjustment. I'm going to tighten up that set screw just so that we don't lose our piece. Okay, there's the set screw. Now, for comparison to a standard strike, this is a Schlage 10-025. Let's do this. The back of the strike, right to the cutout, is about 15/16. On the standard strike, that same dimension, it's about 7/8. So it's an additional 1/16 of an inch. But you're going to pick up probably a total of an additional 1/8 of an inch when you thread the adjusting nut all the way in. So why would you need this? Why would you use this? Well, I'll tell you why, and let's talk about that now.
If you've not hit subscribe yet, we would very much appreciate if you did, and hopefully you're enjoying this video. Now, let's get back to it.
So why you would use this type of strike is exactly because if you've ever had to file a strike, you may have had to file the bottom or the top because you have a vertical misalignment. That's unusual, but it does happen. And if you have to do that, let us know. We can order you strikes with large cutouts in them so that you're not filing 1/4 inch. I've done it plenty of times. It's not fun. If I've had to file anything, it's to file right here. And I only need 3/32 of an inch is all I really need. Why is that? Well, what happens is it's very typical to have a exterior weather stripped door where you push the door closed and your door is closing and it makes contact with the weather stripping. That weather stripping immediately starts to give the door resistance and collapse slightly as your door pushes a little bit further in. Because of that weather stripping, you might find it difficult to push the door in far enough to get it to latch. Or you might find it difficult for a door closer to close the door, get it compressed against that gasketing adequately to latch the door. So you might need to relieve that a little bit by either filing or, in this case, adjusting the knob. This will very likely give you a small amount of room. It's inherently a little bit wider than average. And I would say would really be used only in those instances where you needed a small amount of room. If you're going to file a strike plate just a 1/16 of an inch, and it's made of stainless or even brass, that's really a lot of filing to do. It is. I've done it. It's a dreadful task, especially if that strike is in the frame, because you don't have any, you're going to want to pull the strike out and, get it so that you can file it without causing damage to the door, the frame, the hardware, the surrounding millwork. You'll notice if you ever look at some manufacturers' strike plates for mortise locks that incorporate a deadbolt, what's very interesting about those is when you take that door and you push it closed, that door has a tendency it latches, but it relaxes a little bit. You'll notice that the deadbolt prep is slightly biased because the manufacturer knows the door is going to get pushed closed and it's going to relax a little bit. So they skew or bias that deadbolt prep over very slightly. And it's because they know that exterior door weather stripping is going to push that door out ever so slightly. Very typical and common to have to file the deadbolt holes in a mortise lock strike, in a 4 7/8 mortise lock strike, because of that exact purpose. Now this won't, it does not incorporate any capability like that, but the principle is the same, and I've encountered this lots of times. You can either, because the door and frame come out already prepped, so your center in the rabbet and your center of the pocket in the edge of the door are fixed. But you put that large Q-lon, the Curfton style weather stripping, pushes the door back a little bit. And sure enough, that's what it's used for. So this is meant to help mitigate those problems. This is clearly only for cylindrical locks, because if it was for a mortise lock, this would be biased towards one end, making it a handed strike, unless it was a flat lip strike. Where you will never use this will be on a fire rated door. This is not fire rated at all. This box does not indicate any UL listing. The paperwork does not either. I have had a conversation with the person behind this, or very much involved in this. And he explained to me, this is a couple of years ago. We're in early 2022. This was probably 2019. I don't recall. It was pre-COVID for sure. Telling me all about the strike, and I was explaining to him, yes, I can see how you would use the strike, or there would be a need for it because of that situation where you're filing strikes. Yeah, great. That's exactly what this is meant for, and it solves the problem. Okay. I don't know how much of the overall problem it solves, but it would certainly solve part of it. And he was telling me about a hotel job that they're doing where there's 100 of these, and very proud of the job. And I'm kind of always wearing my certified fire door and egress assembly inspector hat. And I said, well, are any of those doors fire rated? And I know that they are. It's a hotel. They're all fire rated. He's like, yeah, all of them. I says, well, your strike's not fire rated. That technically demotes the door, the entire opening, in fact, to non-fire rated. Yes, that's a lot of money to test for your hardware, and we decided not to do it. I says, okay, but because this is a strike, and you're going to encounter a lot of fire doors, I would think they would need to produce a UL labeled version of this where it would be stamped. Apparently, it's at least 2 years later since that conversation. The demand in the market has obviously not materialized, but be mindful where you will not use this as on a fire door because it's not fire rated. A savvy fire door assembly inspector who knows hardware will see that and say, no, that's not fire rated. Now, there's nothing to say that in a 3-hour fire test this would fail. I'd be surprised if it did. The reason you can't use it is because you don't know if it'll fail or not. It could cause the door to open, and because it's not been tested is why it's not used. Okay. The other thing that I might consider if I was them would be the availability of maybe a couple of other lip lengths. 1.25 inches is good. I think it would be really handy if you had a 7/8 lip length for pairs of doors with a flat astragal. Maybe if you had an 1 5/8 inches or maybe a 2 inch, that might be nice as well. But other than that, it's just I don't have my magnet here. It's just going to be a piece of steel with that adjustability. So great. It's going to include the two 1224 flat undercut head machine screws. It's going to include the small Allen wrench that you need to loosen, set, and then tighten so that doesn't move on you. It's going to include installation instructions. Let's switch now to the screen view where we can take a look at those installation instructions and the supporting information.
If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video.
Okay, here's the item that we are indeed looking at. And I have to tell you, I've never used one of these personally, and it's not because I wouldn't want to, but I'll tell you this, I just haven't been in a position to have to file a strike. But I will most absolutely tell you this, before I file the strike, I would definitely pull one. If this unit was the proper strike for my application, I would definitely be trying to use this before I was trying to go about filing a strike. That's dreadful. I don't like doing it, even at all. I don't like doing it. It's a lot of work. It really slows you down, and it doesn't look very nice when it's all said and done. Sorry about that sound. I was pulling on the tape dispenser. So let's take a look now at the extended description information. Before that, let's look at some photographs that we have. That's the box. Contents, obviously. And then some close-up views of that adjusting mechanism. It's a non-handed piece of equipment, can be used on left or right-hand doors. Obviously a punched piece of steel with a nut welded on it. And then obviously the side of that nut has a drilled and tapped hole for that small set screw. One more image that we have here, just of the screw pack and the Allen wrench. Now the extended description information. Adjustable ASA strike plate. Once installed on the frame, you simply rotate the latch adjusting screw until the proper adjustment is achieved. Remember, with your deadlocking latch bolts, you want your deadlocking tab to not be inside of the hole. That's going to need to basically rest against the face of that knurled knob, is what's going to happen with that. It does not project off the face of the strike at all, which I would think if it did, it would probably be somewhat problematic. Simply tighten the set screw with the supplied Allen wrench, strike plate only, fully adjustable, well, within the limits that I measured earlier. Stainless steel construction. I don't know if this is stainless. I don't have my magnet here. Yeah, I will test that. Quick and easy installation, no more double latching problems. That it could be referring to the deadlocking tab falling into the hole of the strike, which renders the lock difficult to operate at best. Allows for perfect installation every time, prevents broken dead latch bolts, increases security with proper door latching. The cut sheet, let's take a look. Everything here we've talked about, so I won't revisit that. I do not see any stamped information on the face of their strike that they're kind of showing there. Installation instructions, these are packed with your unit. It's obviously self-explanatory. Make sure the set screw is installed but not tightened in the hole in the front of the strike. Turn the adjusting knob clockwise all the way in but not tight. Install the strike with the two screws. Close door, check fit, and adjust as needed. If the door is loose, meaning the door is closed, it's latched, but you can grab the trim and the door will move a little bit. Adjust the door until it fits tight with a small clearance. Look close and verify the door plunger is fully into the latch opening of the and the dead latch feature is engaged resting on the adjusting knob and is not inside of the strike opening. Open and close the door a few times to ensure a proper fit. When the proper fit is achieved, tighten the set screw with the Allen wrench. So really, what they're also going for is to close that space. They're looking to close that up. And it is an issue where some people, and I understand why, they think the proper installation is where the entire deadlocking tab, the dead latch, is inside of the hole. The curved Pullman shape latch bolt, but then the sliding deadlocking tab behind it, that doesn't go in the hole. It has to be always outside of the hole when the door is closed. That's what gives you the anti-loiding principle to a deadlocking tab, a deadlocking latch. Okay. Dimensions. There you go. Dimensional drawing. Yeah. 1.25 inches. Yeah, they don't give us the one dimension that the entire industry defines strikes as. That is the center line of this hole to the edge of this lip. Well, yeah, you can determine it, obviously. 0.188, 1 in 13, 1 and 1 7/8, minus inch and minus 5/8. So that's going to be 2/8, so 1/4 inch. 1.25 inches is what it is. So this 1 7/8 minus 5/8 is going to be, from here out to here, your dimension. So 1.25 inches, as we had kind of measured before. 1.25 inches is by far the most common. Doesn't mean it's the right size for your application, but that's where it's coming from. We figured it was about 1/8 of an inch adjustment, and that is indeed the case. So the design is really going to allow you to adjust a little bit out this way, but you can tell that they're really going for the keep that deadlocking tab out of the hole sort of concept. Okay. Now there's a link below this video as seen here to the manufacturer's page, and from here you can pull up not only the one Strike Rite product that we have, but a link to the manufacturer's website as well. Let's wrap up this video on camera. Okay, that's my video review of the Strike Rite plate. If you have any questions on this or any other Strike Rite product, please feel free to reach out to us. Again, if you're a locksmith, you're out there servicing material, should you have a couple of these in your truck? I would say yes. They're relatively inexpensive, and they could just allow you to leave a job within seconds rather than filing for 25 minutes. And just not wanting to do that at that moment. If you're trying to open something up, you got a problem where your clients, what it's intended for, really, when you study the paperwork, you got a client who's always getting that deadlocking tab in the hole. And the problem with that is when you rotate the trim, it's difficult to rotate the trim and get that latch with the deadlocking tab pulled out of the hole, because that deadlocking tab is not meant to be there. It's harder to turn that trim. A door doesn't operate correctly. Sometimes if you've got a very ill-fitting door, you can push it in far enough where the deadlocking tab will enter the hole. Okay. Now you've got a problem where it doesn't work right. Sometimes you push it in far enough, the deadlocking tab is now inside of the hole and very much compressed and pushed against the inside hole of the strike itself. It is pushed inside of here. Some people find that they can't turn the trim because there's so much counter pressure pushing the door outward because, let's say, of compressed weather stripping. They can't easily rotate that. And some people, they're not door people, so they don't think, well, let's pull it towards me a little bit, then let me rotate it, and then you can discover what the problem is. So the strike can kind of also make it the job of a minute or so, keeping that deadlocking tab from falling in the hole. Yes, I would think that you should have a couple. It's not a substantial investment, but you could find instances where, hey, listen, there's no fix to this, but this product will certainly correct that. I mean, that product. This is the other one. Any questions on this or any other Strike Rite product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you.
Thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up, please subscribe, and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.